Hello lovely people, welcome back to the farm. Today we're going to give you a little tour as we go around and we talk about what we think this place could be or become for us. We've got a couple of different options that we're looking at as far as what we can do here, what we have available to us or may have available to us. We'll talk about all of that in this video. All right, right behind me we've got the barn. We've been using this barn for sheep, to house them over the winter, for lambing, stuff like that. We're not using it to the full extent. We're gonna go in there and talk about what we might be able to use the extra space for, how we might be able to use the space more efficiently. All right, so just inside the door here, as we look down this long corridor, this is a lot wider than it actually looks on camera. It is about 10, 11 feet. It goes back, I bet, 30 feet or more. So as we are walking back through here, you might notice a bunch of pig feeders over here all along this side. And then over here we've got just junk. We've basically been using this space to store junk and other stuff that we just haven't had the space to do anything with. What we think we might be able to use this space for is what we're going to talk about next. There's a couple different ideas, there's a couple different things that we could use it for. What's your idea?
Well, if we wanted to do it kind of like seasonally during the winter, and if we're lambing, we could set this up into smaller corridors for like mom and baby. In the summer and spring and fall, I would think that we could use this as a brooder, a place that when we hatch baby birds out, to erect something that is very safe because cats get in here, but this is very well insulated too. Yeah, we could use this for like in the winter if we need more space with the sheep. We could definitely use this. However, we are looking at getting a cow, and my thought is this barn space would be a lot better for a cow. Not that we would only house a cow in here. We could house sheep and a cow in here. Maybe this would be the stall. We'd make a long stall here, about 15-20 feet deep, and then the 11-10 feet wide, and then we'd have a great space for a cow. Only problem then is, how do they get out, how do they get in? As we're thinking about this space, we're thinking not only about what we currently have now, but what we might want to use it for in the future, given we may be getting a cow soon. As we're looking at these now, what we may see as potential issues are not necessarily obstacles to us using it for really literally anything that we want to use them for in the future. All it would take is a little bit of modification, a little remodel here or there, and everything would be fine. So in here, this would take about an hour's worth of work, and ideally, in my mind, I think we would move the quail in here. The two hutches back here along this wall, so that they would be facing forward toward the man door, and then along this side right here, along this wall, going all the way to the sink, we could put the grow out pens that we built, the big tall 8-foot long grow out pens. Up front then, right here where we've got these pallets and a tarp on the floor, we could use this for a breeding station and probably easily fit one here without cramping our space or crowding the space to get in at the door right behind the camera here. All right, moving on, we're gonna head over to the hog house and we'll talk about that next. All right, here is our hog house. So we've got one stall here, right as you enter the doorway. We've got another stall that I'm standing in. And then over here, we have a third stall or pen. This is a really nice building as far as an old ag building goes. The only issue with this building is that the floor slants from up here, where we're standing, to down there. And there is a 12-inch difference. So from the high point up here where we're standing to down there, there's at least a 12-inch difference, as far as I can tell. So there's a slant in this building that's going to really make a huge difference as far as what we might be able to or may not be able to use this for. However, if we did want to put the quail in here, we could just put a riser on one end of their cage and it should be fine. Now, it might be a little more difficult with the hutches and their wheels.
So with that in mind, I'm thinking this is not a good space for the quail. It's not as sealed up as the barn. I mean, that's all stuff that could be easily fixed. At the same time, why fix something to use it for something else if you've got another option that's better already? So we've got a couple different options, a couple different ideas of what we could use this for. Like I already mentioned, we could keep all of the sheep in here, and we've got 3 pens, so we could keep rams in one, although they might jump these low walls here. These walls are fine for pigs. Right there behind me, you see this wall is just fine for pigs, but it might not be substantial enough for a sheep. So that's one idea. What are some other options that we could use this for? Holding feed?
Yeah, because we would need to put a humongous hole right there.
Yeah, we'd have to put a humongous hole there.
It could potentially work as a winter chicken coop, but we would still have to modify it. We'd have to put like cattle paneling up further high so that they couldn't fly out.
Chicken wire?
Yeah, that too. And also we'd have to do it to the other side up against the wall because there's a huge like gap between the wood paneling and the siding. So we'd have to modify it if we wanted to if we'd want to winterize it for chickens.
Another option is we could keep the cow in here. So that's about it. There's not a whole lot we'd have to do with this other than we do have these doors here. They are, let's see, well, 2 of them are sealed up. The 3rd one down here on the right, that is not sealed up. And they're not really sealed, they're just closed off. They've got some boards there, it looks like maybe they put some screws in them, and these doors swing in and up. We'd have to do something with those. I mean, they could work just as they are. I see they've still got the chains there to hang the doors. Question is, you know, is that gonna work for us? Well, like a lot of things, I don't know that we'll really know if that's gonna work for us until we try it. So it might be something where we start using this, we find out that doesn't work so well, and we close them off or build something new. Thought I had was sliding doors like we've got on the barn so that they slide on runners. Okay, we're back outside here to discuss the outside of the hog house. A huge concrete slab just outside the hog house, as you often see outside hog houses, if they've got any outside access at all. Most today I guess don't, but this one did. And what they did is they just set up a bunch of hog paneling or cattle paneling here. The whole thing is one huge concrete slab. This is not ideal for us because we're pasture based. This is a feedlot style outdoor access. We have got to figure out what we're gonna do with this, and basically the only option I see is tear up all the concrete and plant it for a paddock. We are not going to keep the pigs in here. Our pigs are 100% outdoor bred and raised pigs. They do not need to be indoors. They do not like to be indoors. They do just fine out there. They stay perfectly warm. They actually want to be outside even in the very, very cold. Yeah, they've been bred and raised in Leona, Wisconsin for years now. Before that, they came from Idaho. That's why they got the Idaho name. They're not, so yeah, we're not in Idaho, folks. Idaho pasture pigs. They are meant to be outdoors. If you put them inside, you're gonna have problems. The only option I see, like I said, is we're gonna tear this up and we're gonna plant it, and we're gonna have a nice pasture, little pasture paddock here, so that, yeah, when we do keep the sheep over winter, the one thing that I've felt kind of bad about is, you know, again, our sheep, they're not meant to be indoors. They don't do well indoors. So why don't we put them back out on pasture? Well, for one thing, I don't want them to destroy the pasture before it's been reestablished this spring. For another thing, it's the lambs that we're thinking about. All that to say then, this would be the perfect spot in my mind. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm going crazy, but I think this would be the perfect spot for our sheep and lambing next year. This would give them shelter, and they would have a really nice spot then if we get this planted this year and we just let it get established. Come this fall, they'd have a bunch of forage in here. I'd probably have to mow it a couple of times, but we'd have a nice little spot in here for them to get some forage. I don't know if you can see that, but just above the horizon there are swans flying, and they just went out of view now. Must be wild ducks over there.
Yeah, our ducks.
not wild ducks.
Our Hermie birds.
We got anything else that we want to talk about?
Move the garden.
Well, we can talk about where you want to move the garden. I'll let you all in on some of our other conversation that we've been having. We've got two options. Option number one, and probably the easier option. We stay here, we live with what we got, and we make it better. And we make it bigger. We've got this field land behind us. Now this would actually be kind of pretty and idyllic. We've got all this grassland right here coming around here following the stream. See how the stream curves around? Okay, now it curves around to the north there, and then it comes back to the south, and it heads down towards those trees, and I don't know if you can see that, but if we were to say buy all of this going around to down here, and let's say we were to buy this portion of field here, and we'd go right up to that fence line that's over there, which also meets up with the end of our fence line. Let's say we were to buy all of that. At least 10 acres. Now, if we bought the rest of it, I'd say that'd be about 20 acres. Now, we've not made any offer. I have no idea if the folks who own this field land would at all be interested in selling it to us. And it would take a number of years to get it to the point where it becomes the type of land that we want it to be. You either buy pasture land or you buy forested land, which there's very little of. We're living in north central Iowa. Or you buy field land. So we're talking about what we can do here. We can buy this. Theoretically. I mean, somebody would have to be willing to sell it to us, but we could theoretically buy this. And that's probably going to be the easiest option, because then we don't have to move. And also, we've got these amazing ag buildings here. This is a treasure right here. You don't generally move to an acreage and you've got a cattle barn, and you've got a hog barn, and you've got a machine shed, and you've got a sawdust, well, what they used as a sawdust shed, and you've got a 3-stall garage, and you've got a 2-stall garage, and you've got a 4-bedroom house. 3-bedroom, but no, it is a 4-bedroom house. Yeah, you've got a 4-bedroom, technically 5 or 6-bedroom if you really wanted it to be. We are very blessed in what we have. So we've got a good thing going on. We've already turned field land on either side of our property, this, and then on the other side there of our property, the north side, we've already turned almost 4 acres of field land into pasture land. But with what we would like to do and scaling up, what I'd really like to do is turn another 10 or 20 acres of land into pasture land, into, you know, plant some fruit trees, plant a whole bunch more trees. What were you thinking as far as the garden? Because that's why we were coming over here.
I would really like to have the garden closer to where I am every day. And I am not closer here. I learned that this year.
Yep.
I'm never over here. So potentially we could move all of the boxes to where the ducks are. That could work. Or we move the kennels and stuff off of the grassy patch in the circle of our drive, and we put them there.
Yep.
Because that gets all day summer light as well. Or I would at least like 2 boxes there this summer.
So where do you want 2 boxes?
If I can't have all of them, then can I have 2 in that little grassy island area in our circle drive?
All right, so we can move at least 2 garden boxes. We could possibly fit all of them over here. It might just be a little cramped. It would certainly look nice.
But we'd have to be able to keep the cats and the dogs out.
And then, yeah, I mean, you'd get just about full sun here all day.
And it's close to a water source, a lot closer than they are now.
So there are a couple different options besides expanding here, buying more land, making this more like what we want, and that is we could really luck out and we could find the perfect place with all the buildings and all the land that we want and a house, or we could buy raw land and we could build on that land. That would be quite an undertaking. To replace the buildings we have here, all the buildings that we currently use and will probably begin to use this year, it would take about $500,000. I mean, it's an option, but it's not a great option considering if we could buy more land here and we could just expand east, that would be ideal. As the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, the more I consider what it would take, the more I am leaning toward, you know, if we could get another 10 acres here, that'd be a good start. If we could get another 20 acres here over the next 5-10 years, that would be great. Thoughts, lots of thoughts. I am really curious to know what anybody else out there thinks about all this. What are your thoughts? What would you do in our situation? I'm curious. Thanks for joining us on this little tour and this little expedition to take a look at and think about and talk about what we could do moving forward on our property, how we could improve it, how we could make it more efficient and use it the way that we want to use this land. I will talk to you all later. We'll see you in another video very soon. Don't forget, like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, leave a comment, and please, if you haven't yet, subscribe. It'll really help us out. We're at 150 subscribers as of this video right now, last I checked. That's awesome. I appreciate all of you. They're having some fun back here. We'll catch y'all later. Have a great next 24 hours of your day. And don't forget, stay free.